Time for the Southern Arizona chapter of SAF, the Foresters, to take its annual summer forestry field trip.
All right, our third year in a row for a trip post-pandemic. Hallelujah and congrats to us.
This year, 2023, it's down to the Santa Ritas of the Coronado National Forest to visit Madera Canyon, a truly interesting place for forest management issues.
Let's get going.
First things first, though, breakfast.
Absolutely. But nothing fancy for us foresters. Waffle House is fast and easy with a waffle, some grits, and day-old coffee.
And a nice group shot opportunity with the iconic sign. We're not the first foresters to eat at Waffle House. Here are Northern Arizona chapter members in their group shot with me.
What? Well, let's open it up. Any and all SAF members who visit Tucson should call us for breakfast at Waffle House and add to your collection of group photos.
Been there doing that already. I'm up to 20 of these group shots at Waffle House, including international visitors who insist on grabbing a waffle and getting their group selfie before heading off to the field.
Nice.
The route from Tucson to Madera Canyon is pretty straightforward, due south on I-19.
Fun fact, this short bit of interstate is signed in metric, the only stretch of the entire interstate system not using miles and furlongs, as far as we know.
We pass by the San Javier Mission, visible from the highway. We've been to San Javier hundreds of times, so no need to stop there on this trip.
Yes, but new visitors to the area should put San Javier on their itinerary. This is a key site in the environmental and cultural history of the American Southwest.
Turning left at Green Valley, you go through one of the world's largest groves of non-native pecan trees.
Pecans? Arizona? There are various pros and cons to growing pecans here, making for its own agroforestry debate. But yes, tens of thousands of pecan trees are being grown in rows along the Santa Cruz River.
Then, up the Santa Rita alluvial fan for the classic mesquite grassland veg type.
This landscape is so unique, it has been officially enshrined in its own experimental station, worth seeing in its own right.
The Coronado National Forest could just as easily have been named the Sky Islands National Forest.
In biogeography, Sky Islands are relatively small mountains, compared to the Rockies, for example, that extend up like islands surrounded by low elevation expanses.
There's a bunch of Sky Islands in southeastern Arizona, as well as in southwestern New Mexico and northern Sonora.
Because they have equivalent elevational gradients, Sky Islands have pretty similar ecosystem progressions from desert grassland down low to subalpine forest up high.
However, an interesting feature of Sky Islands being isolated from one another is that species, plants and animals, can diverge from one another evolutionarily.
This phenomenon can lead to what is called endism, where a species occurs only in isolated pockets, like just on one Sky Island as opposed to all of them.
Sure enough, compared to all other national forests of Arizona and New Mexico, the Coronado has a higher level of endemism, as shown here with the number of uncommon species per unit area.
This holds true for both plants on the left and animals on the right.
And size matters with respect to number of species and island area, as shown conclusively here with the species area curve for mammals of the Sky Islands.
Simply stated, the bigger the island, the more the species.
The Santa Ritas happen to be smaller in area than, say, the Catalinas, or the Pinaleños, or the truly big Chiricahuas.
All of this makes for high biodiversity and interesting plant and animal assemblages, as well as complicated forestry management, which is why we chose Madera Canyon for our summer field trip this year.
Situated between 4,000 and 5,000 feet in elevation, Madera Canyon has a complex mixture of tree species that can be classified as Madrean mixed woodland.
One conifer here is the aptly named alligator bark juniper. Various pines of Mexico also grow here.
A specialty hardwood tree here is the Arizona sycamore, restricted to these mid-mountain riparian corridors.
Cottonwoods, ash, walnut also occur here, making for a rich, diverse hardwood bosque.
These woods are so interesting, walking through them can be a pain in the neck, literally.
I think we're assessing crown density and canopy closure here.
As usual in forestry, western forestry especially, fire is an overarching management concern in Madera Canyon.
Thinking back to the mesquite grassland, the concern has always been that fire might start there and travel uphill quickly through the fuel type of dry, fine grass, and then make its way into Madera Canyon.
With only one road into and out of Madeira, fire suppression is inherently risky here, as there just aren't multiple escape routes to avoid dangerous situations.
In addition to the unique forest resources, Madeira Canyon has cabins and lodges, so a wildfire could result in significant losses in multiple ways.
The usual preventative measures of prescribed burning and/or mechanical thinning are on the table as management options for reducing forest fuels that might stoke a high-intensity wildfire.
Prescribed fire is probably not an option here, as control of a burn cannot be assured at all times.
So, cutting and piling, and then burning piles at a safe moment, could be implemented, but this is slow and expensive.
And cabin owners and lodge owners are also asked to fire safe their buildings, which seems obvious, but this, too, is easier said than done.
Among the most popular recreational activities of Madeira Canyon is birding.
Not just local birders come here, but Madeira is a popular spot for birders nationally and internationally because of its unusual number of species from both tropical and temperate regions.
The lodge has a massive bird feeding station that makes it pretty easy to see them all, including wild turkey, which travel in packs and just show up all of a sudden to the delight of most everyone.
Hey, I can identify these guys.
Many other classic forest birds are common here.
Madeira Canyon is perhaps most renowned for its hummingbirds. Lots of them and many species.
Wow, nice photos of such small birds.
Thanks to our members who took such good photos on this trip.
Don't forget the woodpeckers. The acorn woodpecker is common and abundant, easily seen and heard.
Yeah, but the Arizona woodpecker is a specialty bird here, as its name would imply.
Yet another geographical characteristic of the Sky Islands is their proximity to the Sierra Madres of northern Mexico,
which gives them floristic and faunal components of the subtropical mountains to the south.
The Arizona woodpecker is a perfect example of this, where almost all of its range is in Mexico along the Sierra Madre.
This species is not rare or endangered, but the only place in the U.S. to reliably see one is in one of our Sky Islands.
And we got a great look at one on this trip.
Working a hole in an Arizona ash tree. This sighting was a highlight of the trip.
Believe it or not, Madeira is also famous for its insects, including this black witch, a gigantic moth that is usually nocturnal, but we saw one in broad daylight.
And at first glance, I thought it was a bat. Click on the wiki page link below and read more about this very large Lepidoptera.
Damselflies are also common and easily seen.
Combining birds and insects, a sulfur-bellied flycatcher caught a moth and had to go a couple of rounds with it to subdue it for lunch.
Fun. Nice video capture of some predator-prey interaction.
I'm sure it was worth it for the flycatcher.
In addition to birds and insects, Madeira Canyon is rich in other wildlife, including herps and mammals.
Indeed. On this trip, we got to witness yet another case of nature, red in tooth and claw.
Right in front of us, a Sonoran whipsnake nabbed an Arizona cotton rat.
It might appear that this rat is too big for this snake to swallow, but rest assured, snakes can get it done easily enough.
Say, Steve, we should invite the snake to join us at Waffle House. We wouldn't be the first to do such a thing.
Sure, Paul. It would probably order the entire menu and not have to eat anything for months.
By the way, while it doesn't look good for the rat in these photos, at some point the snake had to adjust its grip, during which time the rat escaped the jaws of death to live another day.
Poor snake. But these kinds of interactions must take place constantly in Madeira, which is all the more reason to manage the canyon carefully to maintain the health of its forest ecosystems.
Right. Madeira Canyon might not produce board feet and coffee tables in the traditional forestry sense,
but it is every bit as important to manage Madeira Canyon for its many other forest attributes and benefits.
Good trip. Thanks to the Southern Arizona foresters and friends who could make it.
And many thanks to the foresters of the Nogales Ranger District who joined us in this field to give insights on the forest management issues of Madeira Canyon and to discuss solutions to these issues.
Can't wait for our 2024 field trip. Maybe Central Arizona next year?
Sure, we'd have to do breakfast earlier in the morning before heading out to the woods. But Waffle House is open 24/7, so no problem there.